coming.
Thank you.
First order of business tonight is the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting of 8/15/22.
I move they be approved as written.
Second. Anybody have any corrections, additions, or deletions? Seeing none, those in favor? I'm going to take just a second to sign them. Not that anybody can read it anyways. Selectmen's comments. Mr. Green. Allison?
I have three things, real quick.
Go
I know. So the first thing is I sent something to Kim. There's a request for applications for the Maine Climate Corps, and they're actually focusing on energy efficiency and weatherization, and applications are available for public and private nonprofits, state, county, local government. So I don't know whether we have any pressing weatherization needs, but
We've done a lot to this building in the
Well,
last
that's
few
what I-
years. I
yeah.
don't think there's much left to do.
okay, all right, so that's that. I think I talked to you, David. I did see did connect with Joel, Mary about the shellfish agreement with West Van, and I think I sent it. Didn't I send it to
I didn't.
you or to Kim? I sent it. Kim, did I send it?
You sent me.
A draft agreement.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're going to work that out, and
me.
Joel said he'd be happy to meet with us whenever we're ready.
Any idea, was there any dollar figures?
About $50 to $55 an hour.
You did say that. I did say
I know, she
I
did
raised my
volunteer.
hand.
She did.
So we're gonna get like 3 hours. something
I
new.
know.
10 hours a month?
Yeah, yeah. I did talk to Dan Carrington, who was not, at the- I went to the meeting that Joel had with the West Bath Select Board. Dan wasn't there, but Dan was thinking, even if they showed up, like, first of all, two things. One is that they advertised it, or we, let it be known that we were hiring somebody. And then also, if they were just to kind of show up, a couple hours before, a couple hours after.
So somebody's out there to see.
Somebody's out there to be seen,
I
yeah.
wonder if it would pay us to have a couple of small signs put up somewhere, saying that the shellfish
Yeah.
area is controlled by the, site out there.
Yeah. And maybe if it's we should meet, when we meet with Joel, we should definitely have Dan around also. And then, who knows, maybe if this works out, we want to appropriate some money. So, the third thing is, I had gotten a question about Bath Water District, are they testing for PFAS? They are not testing for PFAS until October. And then they'll look at treatment, some treatments if it's needed. They're not, Nate said that they'd be surprised if they have any high levels, because it's more of a groundwater problem rather than a surface water problem, which is where the water from the Bath Water District comes. But he said he would let us know. They also sent the pipe replacement bid opening. Middle Road is scheduled for September 8th now, so.
Do they have any idea when they're actually going to start the project now? I think it's not until next spring, right?
I didn't ask him that.
My father knows as much.
I was under the impression next spring.
The pipe was not available, and then they're gonna see where the numbers fall, right?
I was told that it was going to be next spring.
Yeah, so they should be opening the bids 2 days.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is the water district has gotten a grant to put a new water line down the middle road, and that's going to be a flagman type job. So we're not only going to have the Route 1 tore up, but next spring we're going to have the middle road tore up as well.
If when this is bid and then you're aware of a pre-construction, if any of you are, I want to know about it.
Okay.
I
I think that would be a good idea.
Wise to
Oh, absolutely.
do it.
Because that's right.
This caused us a lot of problems once before.
I get two questions more than anything. I got a phone call the other day, somebody wanted to know what the construction was down by Ed's stuff. What's going on there?
That's a maintenance drainage pipe replacement project that DOT is doing internally.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the bridge job, has nothing to do with, and you are right, we notified the town of Woolwich. I got a call from Freddie King a week or so ago, and I called, and I don't know, they work at their own pace. If you remember, there was a hole though on the edge of the road, and my father we've got, we've got calls, it's Route 1 on our,
Electric pipe was all rusted out, we had to
Yeah.
replace it.
yeah, it runs down through that.
And I wasn't aware of it.
There's still some equipment.
Oh, I don't think they're down, are they ever down? No, I don't think they're down.
No,
Okay, and
that's rental equipment.
Other question was, does anybody know why all of a sudden all the traffic counters on 127?
Nope, saw those too.
All those what?
I think that's just because they're trying to see where the traffic.
They're all over the
where
place.
traffic is being.
They're on town roads too.
You know, they're down on the, down here to, they're down here going about in there,
They're on Old Stage Mountain, they've been on back
Yeah, they're
roads.
over on
Let us
Doing
know.
all the side work.
Sandy Beach.
What, for what purpose?
I have no idea. The only thing I can think of is traffic
You know,
counters.
they're
County
trying to
traffic.
find out how much of
This-
The counting Republicans.
They're
They don't
on
have
the
the
old
land road
stage
too,
road.
that ends.
Really? Yeah, I think they're just trying to see where.
On some
the
maps, it
traffic
goes all the way
is
down to the
diverted,
lake.
you know.
Yeah, she just said it's on the Delano Road, which is a dead-end road.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody needs to tell them.
You guys get a hold of your state rep.
That's dull as it were.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
Okay,
Good.
Jason,
All right, so a couple things. First of all, since we met last, we had the community day, right? And I just want to mention that everybody, there's many people in the room, Debbie's here, and Donald, and you and your crew, and Jenny put up the tent. And, I think it was very successful. It was a hot day, I will say that, personally, but I think it's very, well, I think it's a good thing. I think it worked out well.
I thought it was great. Everybody showed up happy and everybody left happy and.
Happy and full.
Good
Happy and
deal.
full.
You guys did a great job cooking.
Well, no, I tell you, you look around the room, there are a lot of people involved in that whole thing. And, all right, so what else? I talked to Rob Pruitt Pine Tree about the latest on the park. It looks like he said that they will start at the end of next week or the first of the following week. And so he start the project down here.
Okay.
Remember he told us in September, he thinks it'll take 4 to 5 days. So it's that company remember the company we awarded it to, what a terrible names, but.
What are we doing again? What are?
Oh, if you remember, it's the abutment that goes out the water, the ramp gets extended both ways down and out, the walkway will get taken to it. There's a hard surface ramp to be installed, remember it's the $25,000 deal or something. This is the part of the grant program with
Okay.
John Knoll.
And we got an extension on the grant, right?
We did, yep.
We still have that grant, but we have to pay
Front the
up
money,
front, but
yep.
then they will reimburse us.
Yeah, and I contacted him, and we have to have complete closure by December, the end of the year. And so last time we did it, he came down, and I warned Kim about we have to get all this stuff together when it comes time. The only last thing I have is, Allison's been working on it, and I have some, but if you guys recall, we talked about early fall, late fall DOT meeting, feedback thing about the light and all that, so we reached out to Devin, and she reached out, and we haven't heard anything yet, but he knows.
We're talking about writing a letter.
Yeah, so we're so Allison and I just a conversation, but I want to see what the board thinks, but we would like to, frankly, I'd like to see us write a letter to Joyce and push this whole
This part down here.
for next summer, because I'm afraid that, the way those guys work, I think we need to make our case pretty known that
I
we
think
want.
we're not a squeaky wheel when they're
Yeah.
going to get the green.
Jeremy Allen they put it in writing that they would fix the road, move it, the hill, all that, but I think we need to keep on them.
Well, they, last time, they did agree to move the road over between the building and the telephone. pole.
That's right, we haven't
They
played it.
have
Yeah.
agreed to that.
Yeah,
Didn't say
They
when.
said they'd do it next spring.
well, they didn't necessarily.
Well, they said.
Hopefully.
next week,
But I think we need
It's
to.
gonna-
Yeah, go ahead.
I believe it's gonna be a DOT project and not
Yes.
a contractor project.
Right.
And at the pace they work,
But we were just thinking that she seemed to have all the infinite power, she seemed to be in a powerful
She
position.
didn't have the power to get rid of that 55-mile-an-hour
No,
stuff.
right, but we just thought we might want to start doing our winter bugging of these people,
Yeah.
starting into fall and winter, that it's very, the hill out here has a lot of use, and you can see, this isn't even winter, you can see the marks, the spinning, and the potholes, and,
Yeah.
But they're not gonna fix that before winter.
no, they're not, but we don't want to keep going.
Yeah.
We don't want to go winter,
Right.
It could have been easily done,
Right
but
now,
now.
would be great. but
Yeah.
I think
Could
we
have,
also,
should have.
at some point in time, need to have another meeting with the folks that live on that side of the Route 1 and see if they're content with the dead-end road and the way things are going and everything.
Oh, actually, one more thing. Jason and I are gonna meet with Steve DeWick right, also, and
Road
Ruth and
commissioner?
Kel, the road commissioner, next week to, down by the boat launch and see what, so anybody.
So we want to be clear and get some feedback from you guys really quick, but, okay, so we had a boat ramp on state property. We had a
Right.
10-year lease and it went beyond it, and we don't know where all that's gonna go. Alice and I, I think, are of the mindset that if anything is to happen in Woolwich, we would like to have it on the Georgia Railroad side.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
We agree with that, we would have control, we would have it, there is monies out there in the world, and,
Well, they pretty much said that we own 22 feet from the edge of the hot top, right?
oh yeah,
Right there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's enough room down there to put parking for 3 or 4 cars, which is basically all we ever had on the other side, unless people drove way down into the really whack.
Right, so what Ruth has got from Kelt is they have funding for preliminary engineering, that's where all this stuff is going. It takes so long to get things done that,
It's
Alice-
left over from the earlier grant.
yeah, and there's actually potentially some funding that may help us with this for our part, right? We're working on that, we're working on it.
Okay.
All right, that's it.
I don't really have anything, other than I would like to say that the lights out here are still funky.
Yeah.
They still stop traffic on Route 1 and nobody's on the Nequasset Road. And the timing of the yellow light, from when it turns yellow to when it turns red, very short. And you have very little time from yellow to red. So, you know, I hope that they're still going to tinker with that light some more.
Right, when I talked to Devin real quick on that, a couple weeks ago, you might have seen a service truck out there for like 8 hours working on it. These aren't the type of sensors that would become permanent, so there's a lot of quirkiness with the sensors. One day they work great, then they get messed up, and so.
I've had several people mention me, I had somebody call me the other night and said that they pulled up to the red light. There was absolutely no traffic on Route 1. And he said they sat there for about 5 minutes. And finally, you know.
He was on Route 1?
No, they were sitting
Okay.
right out front of the station
Yeah.
here on the Washington Road.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no traffic on Route 1. This is about 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And they said finally the car that's sitting behind them drove around them and went around the corner, so they did the same. They said, you know, we sat there for a long time.
Yeah.
And they said the light never turned green.
Huh.
So it has some quirky moments.
Yeah.
There are other times you'll be driving down the road, there's nobody on either side of the Boston Road, and the light turns red, and stops the traffic.
And we also learned that if you make a right-hand turn, if you're on the Nequasset Road, and you make a right-hand turn, even though the light's red, but you're making a right-hand turn, after stopping, that triggers the light.
Right, you would be driving down the road, and all of a sudden you see
Yeah.
the light turn
It's like
red,
it sees your-
and you're a half
yeah.
mile down the road,
Yeah.
so it's not perfect,
Yeah.
but, you know.
But the permanent system sounds like will be a lot.
He did real quickly address that, as we all know, why doesn't it flash yellow at midnight when there's no traffic, right? But their position is that people are having a tough time figuring out the light, so they're worried about accidents. I don't know if over the winter something will change, but.
All right. Public comments. Now is the time to talk to us about anything. If it's not on the agenda, if it's on the agenda, please wait for it to come up. Tom.
Minor thing, but I recently met with Hannah Lakoff, who is the outreach director at the Patent Free Library, and she and I discussed ways of making the citizens of Woolwich better aware of the programming at the library, and we discussed possibly putting some of the events on our calendar that is currently published on the website. Just wanted to get the select board's blessing to do that. I've discussed it with the communications committee, they seem to be on
Is there
board.
enough room on that website that if we do it for this organization and 7 or 8 others see that happen, how complicated will it get? That would be my only concern, you know. If we do it for one nonprofit, what happens when the churches want us to put their agendas on and the Girl Scouts and the Boy
I
Scouts?
get inundated with requests.
Yeah.
Well, the only good thing with this one though is we pay.
Yeah.
So, to me, that's, I think about these things too, like we are contributing money every year, so
Yeah.
that,
I mean, I'm not against doing it.
Yeah,
I
I
just
know.
want to make sure that it's not going to clog up the website.
Yeah, well, there's pretty much nothing other than the town meeting events on there now, right, Kim? That's,
Yes,
But
I-
do you get calls?
I get emails.
saying, can you put our
Can we,
church
yeah, we can
event
put
on?
something on veterans, on something on seniors, something, so I get at least 2 times a week
Huh.
from different organizations that all put stuff on the website.
So that would be my own concern, once we open the door,
Yeah.
where we draw a line.
Should we get the communications committee on board with sort of vetting that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'd be in favor of that.
I'd be-
You guys
I'd be-
can work out
yeah.
some kind of a defendable policy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You know, we'll do it for, who will do it for and when, you know?
Okay.
I'm wondering, is there a way that you can put a link onto the patent-free library onto our website so they can click it and go
Well,
there?
that we already have, yeah. But, I mean, the reason for doing it this way is that it's a little bit more in people's face if it's on our. I noticed that some other towns do this too. Like West Bath, for example, publishes their entire calendar. I don't think we should do the entire calendar because a lot of the events are very, very niche kind of thing. But there's maybe 10 events per month that probably be.
I'm certainly not against it, I just think we need to have some kind of a defendable policy
Yeah.
of who we're gonna do it for and when, you know, how much lead time we need and that sort of thing.
Okay. I'll discuss this with the communications committee and then come back with a proposal.
Okay,
Thank you.
anybody else, anything? Road commission, Jack?
Really not a whole lot. We moved speed sign this morning on Cluster Road in lieu of school starting. We changed the 2-foot culvert over on Theater Road.
On
That
what
is
road?
in-
On
Where?
Joseph, Maine. Theater Road, I don't know which one they call it anymore. That's part of the program where we had the culverts.
Yeah.
We get that one all done. And that's just normal maintenance, patching and keeping up.
Anybody have any questions? All right, thanks. Codes officer, Tom,
Did not get anything from them.
he didn't send anything, okay. EMS director, Brian, he did send one, since the last meeting on 8/15, there's been 19 calls with 24 patients. There were 12 transports and 12 no transports. MC1 was used 3 times and Wiscasset used once, responded Westwood Island once. Both trucks are in service now, the rescue one is going out for service. There was a leak in the rear differential that we addressed it now before it becomes a larger problem. That's the new truck, hopefully that's in the warranty.
No, no.
What?
Yes, I'm not.
Fire chief, Sean.
Since the last time that I was at a meeting, we had 18 calls. More than half of those are car accidents. Probably half of those are out here on Route 1 and a half a mile stretch. Dale's quite familiar with. We stayed for a couple days. Like Brian said, rescue is back. We're working on, probably the next meeting, he'll be pushing you folks with a service contract we need to get put in place for our stretchers for the both rescues. I discovered that they haven't been serviced since Rescue 1 was purchased, and that's a big no-no. They need to be serviced yearly, and then the power load system needs to be serviced yearly. So I've reached out to Stryker, the manufacturer, and they're getting me a quote for that, for Brian, for that. So that'll be coming in the next couple weeks. Sunday, the 9/11 Memorial Ride, the motorcycle, American Legion, doing their 9/11 ride across the bridge like last year. We'll be on the Woolwich side at Dairy Queen, lights and trucks and slowing traffic down a little bit. Bath and West Bath will be on the other side.
Do you have a rough idea of time?
Lineup is around 8:30, and I think they do it when the planes start the building, so it's 8:45 right up through. They go across, come back, that. It's probably an hour or so anyway.
Okay.
So we'll be taking part in that. And I have two things I need approved. One bill is for hose that needs to be replaced, and this one is for hose testing. We can divide it down with the lengths and how much it is.
these have already been, this is something you're asking for a.
Post testing is pre-scheduled every year, they've already scheduled it for us. I noticed that the names need to be changed on their references, but we'll take care of that.
Just to let you know, we were discussing how we're gonna pay for the ambulance.
Yeah.
And we decided not to use the catastrophic money,
Okay.
because if we use that and there's a problem with the fire truck, there's no way to fund the repair for a fire truck. So we can use the EMS billing money for any purpose for EMS,
Mhm.
but we are going to pay for the ambulance repairs out of the EMS billing money. And that way, it still leaves us, we can spend the EMS money on the EMS vehicles, but we can't spend it on a fire truck. So if we use the catastrophic money to pay for this ambulance, then if something happened to one of the fire trucks, we have no money to fix the fire truck. And then we'd be in trouble. So we discussed it earlier, and we decided that we'll do it that way.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, it makes more sense to put $11,000 into that truck.
Oh, absolutely.
49,000 miles on it, than it does well to buy one 10 years newer with 3 times the mileage for 6 times the
Yeah,
money.
absolutely. It doesn't know us anything, so.
So for the record, you feel like it's a good vehicle in good shape?
That truck?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, Donnie, how do you feel about that ambulance?
Well, I talked to
Solid.
the,
Rescue too.
Yeah,
Solid.
I see what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no,
I talked to the fellow that drove it back from the Ford drive that day, and he said it runs better than the new one now, so.
Yeah.
You know, so he said it handled really well. and-
I took it to Westport Island the other day, so.
Well, we put a ton of money into that engine, what, 2 years ago? That intercooler thing, so, I mean, and that was supposed to be a one-time fix, so that truck could go, we should get another 4 or 5 years out of it.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
I mean, it's a good-looking truck, I looked it over, there's no rust in that truck
Yeah.
anyways. I mean, it's never set outdoors a day in its life, so I mean, it's in pretty damn good shape.
Yeah, sure. Waiting for Frank to come back. I got a couple more things he's working on for the doors. Probably gonna look at getting the PQ we use for the doors, PQ door. We just were noticing downstairs that some of those doors are opening very hard and they're slamming when they come up. So it just might be an adjustment thing for them. I don't know if they've been serviced. I'd have to check the records and see when they were serviced last, but yeah.
Those doors, so you mentioned the weatherization, are those doors, they're leaking a lot of air out through them?
Well, there's sections, every section has a strip that's either been tore off or broken, or, I was gonna mention that too, that maybe we get
No,
that.
I'm just thinking of Allison, you mentioned the weather.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Aren't our big overhead doors a major heat loss for our building? Allison?
I would assume so.
Yeah.
And the North Station,
We need to talk to her.
while you're at it too, if you
Well,
want the
I
North
think she's
Station.
gonna talk to
I'm,
you. Yeah.
no, I'm gonna give him
Yeah,
that.
there's this, hey, you try it. See
Yeah.
if you can get some
I'll
money.
send you the email, because there's a link, there is this weatherization,
Yeah.
Grant.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Well,
Great idea.
No.
We don't have a ton of money, but
I think those doors are a tremendous source of
Oh, yeah.
comfort in this building.
Absolutely.
good thinking.
Well, it's probably a wish, but. Try it.
Hey, we can say it with a straight face.
The applications are due like in 2 weeks.
Gosh. Item on the
Why
list.
you're the chief?
Yeah. Good smile.
Don't forget it.
Other than that, I don't think anything else. Yeah, I'm doing, things have been going real smooth.
Okay. Any questions?
Is there anything else up to the North Station needs weatherization? Seriously?
Don't you have it?
Just the door, there's one of those doors needs to be weatherized, but, I mean, unless you wanna start putting windows on it or something, I don't
know how bad it'll go.
it's not,
We insulated the thing a couple of years
yeah,
ago.
it's not terrible. The door is the main thing, that place, you feel the crack.
That's right, you can lose a lot, yeah, so,
Yeah.
right, see if they,
So the total amount
Yeah.
available for the whole state is $201,000.
we don't need that much. Now, what do you figure, 150? Hey, you brought it up.
I did, and I am passing it
If you
along.
send us $500, it's $500,
Yeah.
what do you got now?
Hey, if the door company's coming, you know.
I have no idea what the grant was.
Okay, moving on.
Okay, all right.
Old business, community resilience.
Yeah, that's the project that I've been working on with the towns of Westport, Phippsburg, Rouseck, Georgetown, and us, right? About that we signed, Ruth promised us it didn't cost us anything, right? We signed that letter saying we participate, and so I've been going to these meetings, coming up with eventually coming up with a list of community actions. There's grant money available through a governor's office named GoPIP, and I'm going to turn that part over to Victoria.
That's easy. Governor's Office of Policy, Innovation, and the Future. GoPIP.
Yeah, and so these were, they've made grant money available to do, for communities to do projects that improve resilience with regard to climate change and sea level rise. And so actually Jason and Brian and I went through we went through a whole list of things that we have done, of whether we have done them or not, about some of the projects we've already done, like the culvert replacement was one thing that was on the list. Have you done this? And how do you respond to emergency events? And you know, we're actually in pretty good shape for a lot of this stuff, but there is, we put together, and then we had a community meeting, which was lightly attended, but high quality, I think, for the most part, and went through all of the projects that they have grant money, up to $50,000 of grant money available to work on. A lot of it is for planning, but there are a couple of projects that we identified in this community workshop, and in order to apply for a couple of small grants, because the grant application is due the 20th, we came up with two major things, but they're small. One is to update the town emergency management plan. This is something that Jason and Brian and I talked about. The other thing we talked about was emergency communications through the development and distribution of magnets that would go to every household that provides emergency contacts and information. We were thinking, Tommy was actually at that workshop also, and we talked about how valuable it was when we sent out those things during COVID, those things that went to every door, and this would be something similar. We'd have to talk about what size and what information would be on there, but in order to apply for the grant, I think all we need is an estimate and of the cost and what it would be used for and how it would fit into one of those. The other things we prioritized were the program, volunteer program to staff a shelter, and the volunteer list needs to be updated. That's something that Brian is going to send out in the tax bills anyway. Future funding to supplement other funding sources for broadband also came up, and mentioned that we've already secured funds for the broadband evaluation. Significant discussion on enhancing the building so it can serve as an emergency shelter. And we talked about either a town building or a local church. This is not something that we're applying for, that I'm suggesting we apply for money for right now. Route 127, even though this is a state issue, Route 127 needs significant maintenance and for the shoulders to be paved, and vehicle safety, pedestrian use. And then last on the list, which doesn't take any money, is reactivate our Conservation Commission. One of the things that I saw when I participated in all of this is how active the other towns' conservation commissions are, and that's really valuable in terms of doing this information. I did the best I could as a committee of one, with occasional help as needed. So, in order to apply for these grants, did I miss anything?
No, just, I don't know if this body has been updated on what you need to do to get into that partnership and apply for grants.
That's where I'm about to do that.
Yeah.
There's about 10 pieces of paper we need to send to this,
Are these matching grants, or are they just?
Good question. Because these are on, the two that we talked about are on a list of approved project. So, like I said, it's a pretty quick turnaround, which is why we decided to apply for small things right now. There's another round in March. And one of the things we've talked about is that if you apply as a group, there is more money available. So we were talking about things like, road, paving the shoulders on 127, which we of course don't have enough money to do, but some bigger projects. So that's where we are with that. Did I cover everything?
Well, it depends on the questions.
What questions do you have?
No, so we need to take action
Yeah,
tonight?
yeah, so.
So we need to,
I'll move that we sign this municipal resolution.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion of that? If not, those in favor of signing it?
All right, we'll just start here. Thank you.
And Allison, you can submit that at any time. It doesn't have to go with the grant proposal. You can do that tomorrow if everything's ready to go.
Huh,
Just
okay.
give them a head start in that way.
I could send them everything else too, except for the grant, actually. Ruth
Yeah,
told
you
me-
can send them all the enrollment materials, and then they'll have a little bit of time before getting a grant proposal where they can enroll
Okay.
you in the partnership. If you,
Okay, Ruth had said, no, you can just submit it when you submit the grant. I thought it's a
Either
better
way.
idea. I think it's a better
Either way.
idea to submit it early, sooner rather than
Arouse
later.
Six submitted and enrolled in the partnership already, and
Of
they
course
got
they
word
did.
back, yeah. They got word back that they're enrolled, and so,
Okay.
it's just sort of one more step that they can put
Okay.
behind them, and then,
Can you send me where I send it to?
Yeah.
Because Ruth created a Google file and it's all there, and I can just send it.
yeah.
That would be wonderful. Okay. I thought it was good to do that also. Thanks.
If you want it back, I'd be like, give it to Kim.
Actually, can you scan it and send it back to me, and then I'll submit that, right? Is that been submitted?
Yeah, but there's kind of a page, and then you upload the materials
Okay.
separately,
Okay,
so that would be one
okay,
upload.
okay. And then I can just upload all of them.
Yep, you can upload all of them. I mean, whatever works for you, but just.
Well, no, that's just, it's all in one
Yeah.
folder. It'd be really easy to
Yeah.
just scan this out. That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
The next thing on the agenda is broadband.
Hopefully you have a copy of the report that the Communications Committee prepared.
I do.
It describes the result of the bidding process for the broadband planning contract work. And we got 3 bids, and the 3 town committee of Dresden, Wiscasset, and Woolwich met 3 weeks ago and unanimously advised that we go with the vendor Axiom Technologies out of Machias. And the Woolwich Communications Committee met and also advises the same. And all of the other towns have in fact approved the awarding of the contract to Axiom already. So we can still go with one of the other vendors if we want, but we won't get the benefit of the sort of economy of scale that we would get by going together with the other towns.
I would not be in favor of spending more money than that.
Their bid came lower by almost half of what we were expecting at $7,000 per town, I think it is. And so we still have a grant from the Island Institute that we're expecting somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000 to put toward that. So we,
And then specific to Woolwich or?
specific to Woolwich, just for Woolwich, yeah, that. So we may end up only having to use up like $2,000 from that ARPA money that was set aside for this purpose. So, anyway, so that's the story. We have the contracts, the proposals, if you want to read them in detail or whatever, but this was kind of the,
I I think we should make a motion and second it and officially agree to go along with the $21,000 contract, correct?
Yeah, well,
Okay,
whatever.
so is there a motion to do that?
So moved.
Second.
And those in favor? Those opposed?
Those abstaining.
Those
I still have my communication problem, and I want to speak to it before the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
Because we had an issue Saturday night, correct, Sean?
What's that?
We had an issue with communication in the north end last Saturday night.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It just doesn't get any better, and I just see more money being thrown into broadband, and we can't even use a cell phone. I just think it's wrong.
Okay.
I don't disagree.
Okay, old business other, do you have anything on the old business other for us? We do not. Okay. Consent agreement, we're gonna pass by that.
Do we table it, do we have to table that, or?
Well, I think we made an agreement earlier to revisit it on the 19th, and I think that's all we need to do at this point, okay? Assessors return, Saginaw County wants a mere $849,488 for us, and we have until 15th of September to pay that. So, we have to sign this and forward it to them. A motion to sign this document.
So moved. So
What's it
moved.
for?
It's our county assessment.
County assessment, county
Oh,
tax,
okay, okay.
So, you know, it was like 700-something thousand at one time, and, or 600, it just keeps,
Yeah, okay.
it's the,
I don't know
This is
exactly
bill.
what it was last year, but I can pretty much guarantee you it was less than $849,488.
but I have forwarded, in many years, it's a $25,000 or so increase, which, you know,
So this will give sheriff's department and the jail.
And they're getting a new communications tower.
Is there a second for the motion?
Yes,
yes.
yes,
Those in
yes.
favor of signing this, although we probably don't have any choice, I just signed it up above the rooms and somebody signed on it because they assume we only have 3 select people. Next thing is Rescue Charlie's tent request. They have asked to use the tent that we use.
Yeah, he's here.
Somebody's here.
He's
Yeah,
here.
we in this, Mike.
Rescue Charlie is here.
And while I entirely support what they do, I'm not in favor of renting the tent out. And I'll tell you my reasons, and everybody else can lay there on that. First of all, I don't think government should compete with private businesses. There are a lot of private businesses that rent those tents, and I don't think we should be in the process of competing with them. And secondly, if we let it out once, where do we close the door? So that's my opinion, and I'll pass it on to everybody else.
Can I say something?
Correct me if I'm
So-
wrong, you're a nonprofit organization.
We are a nonprofit organization.
So I
This
think
has
in this-
nothing, what we're gonna do has nothing to do with our dogs.
Correct.
This is for the community and all the surrounding towns to have for the kids a safe Halloween.
Correct.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have our building, it's gonna be a haunted house for the older kids. And outside, we're gonna have games and safe trick and treating for the little ones. And that's all we're doing.
Yeah, I
Yes,
think in
we're gonna do
this,
this for
Are
children.
the Robbins still do their Halloween thing?
No.
so in this case, I think it's not like giving it to a company or somebody else in town. We're supporting an organization, nonprofit organization that does an extremely great thing. If you really looked at what they do, if you follow them or. they
I
do
can
great
show
things.
you
So it's a
our-
nonprofit and they're doing something for the community. So it's different than saying, you know, we're setting a precedence for loaning out the tent. And this is a different case. And we should review it on case by case, but not just make a general
And
statement.
we have also reached out to all the schools in Woolwich and in Bath and surrounding. They're gonna help us. They're gonna send their drama teams over. So the kids are gonna be characters inside and outside for the kids.
Well, I spent 16 years running those tents, putting them up and taking them down. If they're not put up and taken down properly, they can be damaged very easily. And we don't have the money to
Well, I
replace
think
it.
we're gonna have the
Repair
fire
it.
department
It's
setting
damaged. Debbie, you,
I seem to remember that some years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, Patent Free Library asked to borrow that tent, and we made a decision that they would not. it was not gonna be available
Right.
to the public.
You know, I was.
Do you know what they needed it for?
I think it was one of their outdoor events that they had on the lawn in front of the library. I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure that was the group.
Yeah, so obviously Donald and Jenny are here, you must have seen it on the agenda. Are you here for that?
Yeah.
I mean, so, real quick history of the town is of these tents is, if I recall, that you reached out to me, or somebody reached out to me, or the chief, when it came time that we acquired them.
Yeah,
And they
that was
came-
from Georgetown.
Yeah, they came out of Georgetown, I'm still not clear if it's the fire department town or historical, but they came out of Georgetown, and
Depends on who you ask.
yeah, the idea is, you know, we out of the ones we have, we always use one or whatever it is, and you folks will put it out, you and whoever, you and Jenny and whoever you get. I don't know, I don't want to put it out. No. But I know you guys do it, and I'm just curious to hear what.
The agreement, verbal agreement was with them, for us, for the fire department and the town to use, as if they needed, they could use also, as they have for the meetings and stuff.
They take them back?
Georgetown.
The agreement was that they were donated to us, but if they ever had use or wanted to use them, that they could use them because they purchased them. That's why they take them, and they only use them for their town meetings. They do their town meetings outside still. So, and they are able to pick them up, take them, and set them up, and bring them back to us.
Right, right.
We don't have a way of transferring that.
And
Oh, you
then,
don't? Oh, okay.
and then the other thing is if we go put them somewhere else, and really, before they get put up, dig safe needs to be called and all that stuff, because those spikes are 4 feet long.
What?
Yes.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea.
And not only that, but I can tell you, we used to put 2 personnel lids up and stretch the tents between them to dry, and you cannot put those tents away wet. You put them away wet, they'll mildew in no time. And, you know, so there's a lot more to them than just taking, it's not like setting up a camping tent. Where you take it, set it up, and bring it home if it's wet, and hang it up in the basement for a couple of days, and everything's fine. They're big tents, and it's a big piece of canvas, and they cannot be stored away wet.
I was not aware.
And I just, you know, and again, I go back to the fact that, you know, I would rather see us participate in raising money to help them rent one or something like that, but, we got those with a specific understanding that they're for the town. If we loan them out to one organization, it's just like I was saying to Tom before about the putting stuff on the website, where do you draw the line? I mean, everybody that comes in here is gonna pitch that they're doing something great for the community and everything. And, you know, it's just, when I was in business renting those tents, at least half the people that came in wanted me to donate the tent because it was for a non-profit organization. I used to say to them, hey, if I donated the tent to everybody, I'd be out of business in no time, you know? So, you know, what I would do back then is I would rent them the tent for a nominal amount, and then I'd give them a donation for a portion of it by supporting what they were doing, you know?
I was not aware that, I mean, I knew they came from Georgetown. I was not aware that that was, we basically sort of co-owning them or co-sharing them. We have the space, they have, and they had transport them.
Yeah, it's only for that, maybe we used them the last 2 years since COVID hit.
They used them a couple, I think they had them up a little bit during the beginning of COVID when school reopened, like from 2020, I think.
It's not like us, we set them up once a year, but as you can see, we still have to take them down, and it's getting the crew to do it.
Yeah.
And now we gotta wait for it to dry.
Oh, right.
I'll go along with whatever the majority wants to do, but I think, you know, I just, I'm not in favor of it personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a difficult thing. I think that the town is fortunate to have gotten the use of these used tents. I will say that I think we're very fortunate to have Donald and those guys put them up, because it's something that I remember you got together with whoever it was from there, you guys worked it all out years ago, and Debbie did inform me that some folks had asked about using them before, and we'd said no, and so it
I don't
is-
remember that,
I
but
don't, I don't necessarily, but I don't know, I just don't. What concerns me about the tents is, what are we gonna do? Are you gonna go put them up, or, I mean, how are we gonna do this? How would we just can't let people take them.
Right.
And then if they're not installed properly, there are tents, and then, I mean, I'm not trying to make this bigger than it is, and I think it's I'm very supportive of the,
I know.
so it's nothing to do with that, I'm just trying to, these are difficult decisions. Have you looked at, do you know what it cost to rent one, or is this the first stop?
It's the first time, we did not know what it cost.
Okay.
And then the other thing is you gotta look at is town property. Anything's town property, insurance covers from the town. If we put that tent on somebody else's property, the town insurance doesn't cover if something happens to that or somebody gets hurt from that tent.
If they're not installed properly, they can go over.
Yikes. How much do
They
they weigh?
They're about 1,900 pounds a piece.
1,900?
If you had anything together.
Have you watched
That's
it?
why there's a lot of stakes.
Yeah. Wow. And that includes the poles and the stakes and that. Yeah.
I mean, it's not that I don't support
Oh,
what
no,
you're
it's-
doing.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
no.
100% in favor of that, but I just don't, I think we're opening a can of worms.
Yeah.
What do you think, Bill?
I agree. I think it's too many cons and not enough pros.
I'm sorry, but I guess our answer is no.
Okay.
Okay, sprinkler system, move on with that. We have a quote here, we have a problem downstairs, the flapper valve is leaking a little water.
I get your card, thank you.
The little air compressor that keeps the flapper
Thank
valve shut is leaking a little bit of oil. And this outfit is saying that for $1,953.46, they will attempt to make the corrections. I don't like that language in the thing, but I guess that's the way it says that the 5-year internal pipe inspection, hydrostatic test of the fire department connections, and a 1 dry pipe sprinkler system, an attempt to repair the 1 water motor gong in Woolwich, Maine. I don't know what it means by attempt, but I would feel a little bit better if it said that we were actually going to fix it.
Oh, it's this Advanced Fire Protection Services, they're the firm that has been inspecting it, right?
They were always overdrawn in their account.
Oh, these things are,
Easy
I mean, we
diamonds.
don't have a lot of choice, but you know, what's bad, you know, and David's right, there's more than just the water gong, it's all this, 5-year internal, it's all this stuff. But repairs, alterations, deficiencies are not included in the price.